We are here living the authentic life at Memorial Antiques and Interiors, and we are reconnecting with an amazing woman who's so authentic, Natalie Ariz.
Good morning.
And she owns an incredible company, founded, created, evolved the Impeccable Find. You're a platform online. You have had a website for years. You've helped other people with their brands, and now you have a space to show your incredible taste and curation.
It's been a lot of fun. It's been a great journey.
So you're here at Memorial Antiques and Interiors. We're here in Houston, Texas, and this, I think, is such an incredible place where so many people come together in collaboration. And we were just talking earlier with friends that we know. Houston's an incredible city to connect, collaborate. How did you decide that this is where you wanted your business to go?
Well, I call this my COVID baby. They were so nice to reach out to me during COVID and ask me, they wanted some local people to come shed some light and gain exposure for them. So they asked me to do their window. And in the midst of it, I was moving twice during COVID. Our house sold really quickly and our new house wasn't ready, so we ended up in a high rise. So during that fun, I wanted to do interior design and have been collecting antiques for about 20 years. So when they asked me, it just felt like, of course, I didn't even hesitate until probably I got there. I was like, okay, God, this is a little bit more serious. But anyways, make a long story short, after we did the window, they were really pleased, and I actually came back and did another window. I asked them, I said, look, I'm moving. I have a bunch of things that I'd love to get rid of. Would you allow me to sell some items? And then they said, why don't you get a space? And I was like, I've never done this before. Everybody here is so seasoned. Really professional, has a great tenure with antiques in general, so I just felt a little bit intimidated, but everybody's been so kind, so nice, and it's been a natural fit. So, and the ladies that all help us, including my friend Leslie over here, just amazing people here. So it's been a very communal, supportive, and everybody's just happy to help and be of assistance. It's been a great environment.
So there is such a sense of community here.
Absolutely.
And people reaching out, and it's not about, oh, I don't want someone to buy from you. It's this everybody building everyone up.
Right.
I do want to talk about, you help businesses and people understand like who they are as their brand,
right,
and really follow that. And you have this great outline that I work with you to really dive in and ask myself questions, which was such a catalyst actually for me and the TED Talk I'm writing and the way that I'm
glad
researching.
To hear that.
Because it makes you, when you stop and think about what your purpose is, and I think so many people had COVID babies.
Right, right.
Finally, we had a chance to stop.
Yes.
And not
the disease of being busy kind of finally dissipated. We were stuck feeling things and seeing things and being, okay, what do I really want to do today? I have so much time, and how did that
and you
evolve?
Dreamed, if I had an extra day, what would I do? Like we had that this week with the storm. We had an extra day almost, which then you get it and you're like, oh, what do I do with my time? I'm going to sit and watch Netflix all day.
Well, again, our society is so geared on being busy that it's so awkward for us to even sit idle. Even if we're idle, what are we doing? We're watching TV, we're doing this. So it's all this stimulation that we're not even listening to what's important to us. So I think it was as many people say, COVID was a reset. And just you realign and go, what's important?
And I'm always posting on our stories these finds and quotes I got, but today I kept reading about pain for a purpose. And I think that was part of it. It's like when you finally stop and you say, okay, and it's exciting to move houses, but it's painful, and you're going through all your stuff and you're reliving all of that, and then you're getting rid of and deciding what you need to keep. So That's kind of like, as fashion girls, what we do with our business. Like, we are there as people are editing. And I left earlier. We went to your amazing booth and looked at your pieces, and you have everything from neoclassical to mid-century modern, to from paintings to things. And I could look around and go, okay, that looks like Ralph Lauren. That looks like Hermes. That looks like Gucci.
Right. And we're all influenced and inspired by so many. I mean, there's so many things that are not our own. Yet we take it and collaborate it or accumulate it and make it our own. But we're all influenced by so many other people like Ralph Lauren or Hermes. I mean, it just goes into our interiors. It goes into our home. Our fashion. It's just amazing how we're all influenced and we don't even realize it. I mean, how many times do you, subtly we'll see lilac, right? And I'm like, oh, I'm loving lilac right now. Well, we're being conditioned to like lilac, right? Because that's the Pantone color.
Yes.
Example.
Kind of like there was a quote, and I should know it, in The Devil Wears Prada, when Meryl Streep says to
Andy,
I love you think that this color is by accident? This color has been chosen, and it has shown up on the couture lines, and then it's gone down to whatever insulting thing
I
she
love
said
it.
about
She's
the
like,
sweater.
you think this is beneath you, and that was so timeless. I love that movie.
Yes, and the other thing I think it shows is the hard work that goes into it. Absolutely. And that's what I found with so many people that I meet with. And I'm trying to just find success for me as I'm getting older. I thought success would be about the house I lived in or the car I drove or the handbag I carried, although I love a great handbag. And what I found is success really is about finding a balance in life and being more comfortable in your skin. And interestingly, I was happier at my 50th birthday than I was at my 30th birthday. Right. And you evolved into this. You always loved design, but you stuck with it all these years, learning, going, doing, without it being financial. And I think these kids get out of college and they're like, I want to be an interior designer.
Well, and going back to my original story, why I started my blog 5 years ago was on the year anniversary of my heart attack. And so I think without having that as a catalyst or some sort of life event that goes, okay, this is your one life. Do you want to be sitting in an office for 20 years doing finance, which you really don't like, but it pays the bills and and now the difference is I jump out of bed every morning.
Yes.
When I was working there, I mean, God love them. I love my family at my old job. But that wasn't my true passion. It's something I had, learned to improvise to make money, right? It wasn't my true passion because so much back in our day, we were told being a creative and an artist, you don't make any money. It won't pay the bills, right? And that was my passion since I was little, and I always fought it. And it's funny how you'll just end up going back to it, and allow yourself to be more instinctual. And my whole journey since I've started my blog, I know people think that I've been very intentional, and I haven't. It's been extremely authentic, and meaning organic is probably the better word. Mm-hmm. Everything has just happened. And I felt everything and allowed inertia to come with it. And then, there might be times where I'm like teetering, should I do this? God, send me a sign, something, and it's been that organic. I mean, it hasn't been as methodical as one might think. So.
And you followed your passion. Mm-hmm. You followed what you love to do, because when you love to do something so much, then it's not work.
Right.
It's not like we're forcing ourselves to look at fashion and interiors. And yes, I had that exact same experience. My father told me, you need to have a job where you can go in and make money and take care of yourself, and fashion is a whim. But he kind of fueled that by buying me these Gucci bags when he would go to Italy on shopping trips. So I would be at Wiener's with my mom, shopping on the discounted rack with my one Gucci bag as my accessory. So let's talk about fashion and style, because you are incredible. And you, like me, like a good deal. You like to buy things that have value.
Right.
So how do you decide? Because have a lot of things we want.
Yes. So I think, you know, interiors and fashion really align, and my principles with that are still very much in line. So for example, all the accessories, and I spend a lot of money on. The reason being multiple reasons. I mean, we're women. We fluctuate in weight, right? But with our accessories,
you asked, what are you wearing today? And by the way, I'm wearing a Hunter belt. And I said, if it still fits me, because I've been eating my way through these last few stressful
Same
weeks.
here. I think I've gained about 5 or 10 pounds with my grandfather this past month. But anyways, is that they never disappoint. They always fit. They always work, and they always elevate a look. And the same with interiors, whether it's lighting, your lamps, your rugs, your pillows. You can change your whole scheme just based on the accessories. And the same with your clothes. You can shop at Zara, you could shop at H&M, whatever. My only thing with fast fashion is that when I do buy fast fashion, which I try not to, especially after seeing that movie, The True Cost on Netflix. Oh my God, it's really jarring. But anyways, so when I go to Zara, I'm very like thoughtful in the sense like I'm going to wear this a lot. It's not going to be trendy based that I just wear it one time and be done with it. So, but back to being with accessories, elevating those looks, right? So we always have great shoes. The shoes and hair, like I think those two things just finish the look. If you don't have one or the other, and the handbags, right?
Yes. Well, I had a rough morning this morning, so I decided that I could either dress like Kim Kardashian at the Met and wear all black and cover my face.
Well, I'm glad you didn't, because I'd be scared.
Or go get my hair done, because maybe everyone would be looking at my hair instead of looking at the bags under my eyes. But I think that's what's so real too, is that we're all like, okay, this is real life. I mean, that's another great evolution with COVID, is maybe we're not all having to fake it as much.
Right.
And that we can be authentic, that we can be purposeful in our choices of what we're buying. I too love Zara. I mean, I had a Zara haul the beginning of this season with jackets, because I thought if I add a Chanel brooch to a Zara jacket, I can wear this thing 10 times throughout the season. And then I like supporting local people.
Exactly.
I bought a lot of great pieces from a company called Inclon Studio, and they're local designers, and they had a big sale. So I think that people are concerned about value, and I think buying pre-owned, whether it's antiques.
Yes, and I kind of live that way all across. And honestly, when I started the Impeccable Find, my premise was to do antiques. And it's so funny that I decided not to, and I was more about featuring local, because those are two things that I love. I love antiques, and I love supporting local. All my family is entrepreneurs, self-employed, so I understood the background of how hard it is, and how just someone's voice or word of mouth was so valuable. So it was just a great catalyst and a wonderful way to connect with so many people in the community. I just can't tell you how many amazing friendships I've gained just by having that connection on Instagram. It's amazing, because we're all very like-minded. It's all very positive, tons of creatives, and it's really, people supporting people, or women supporting women, however you want to look at it, but it is an amazing vehicle.
So let's talk about the scarab on your dress, because I thought that was so meaningful.
Well, this beautiful dress is by Ann Mashburn, and this silhouette, whenever she puts it out, whether it's in like a boiled wool or this silk, I buy it every time. And the great thing about this piece is that it has pockets, but it's reverse. I mean, you can wear it either way. So like I could put the bow in the back, have my hair up, and it's just a totally different look. So the scarab, I don't know why, when I have this thing where when I have dreams, the scarab always comes in my dream. And I'm like, oh my God, that's a bug. It scares me, right?
Yeah.
So I started researching the scarab, and the meaning of the scarab is luck, wisdom, and resurrection. And I thought, oh my God, that's so perfect, because I find shopping for antiques is luck. And it's resurrection, right? It's resurrecting a piece that still has so much vitality left, and if not better constructed than before. And it has all this history with it. You know, I wish that they had, the pieces had like their, you know, passport with them. Like, where has it been? I mean, it's just so fascinating. And there's so many reasons why certain pieces were made a certain way to have functionality, and we're using it more as decor. So I think it's also a great reminder of how we've evolved as a society and how complicated their lives were versus how simplistic our lives are now. Whether that's, you know, washing clothes and those, I mean, it's just amazing how things have evolved. And to think how, I mean, going to Europe and these other places, how their architecture lasts, and we're here and a building lasts 20 years and that's considered a long time, right? So I just love the history, especially traveling and being able to bring that back into your space. It just feels warm.
And speaking about architecture, I have been so intrigued by, I walked into your booth and you had these great images. Is it the period neoclassical?
They were architectural renderings. So.
And this year, Louis Vuitton did a collaboration with a company, Fornasetti, and they did these amazing, can you hand it to me, Jeanette? So this is like a new collection from Louis Vuitton.
Oh my gosh.
Isn't that incredible?
Beautiful.
So you're bringing, like, all these incredible brands are bringing in, like, architecture.
Oh, that's
into
lovely. I've not
style. So it's almost like you could put this bag out on your counter in your house.
Right.
Like in my closet, I feature some of my shoes because I feel
They're
like my
a piece of
shoes,
art. Yes, absolutely.
and I can't wear high heels very long anymore. It's mostly just for a picture.
Right.
There, we can put that down.
That is gorgeous. I love that.
But so tell us about, like, do you have key things? You just moved into a new house. Was
Yes.
there one coveted item that you always wanted for your home that you feel like you bought? Or are you waiting to buy?
Oh God.
Are there things that you have for your wardrobe that you're coveting? Are you waiting for a big birthday?
Well, I think my problem is that I'm always inspired and I'm always visually stimulated, so I don't think there's an end in sight.
Me too.
I know. I can't say. I mean, that covet list grows, and then I try to be more mindful and curtail it. But it's constant. I can't say one way or the other. As far as our things in our house, it's funny because I thought I'd have more attachment to doing this business, and that. But you know, everything has its phase, everything has its time, and I'm ready to let it go. It's kind of like my grandfather was telling me, he's like, you know, nobody owns property. You're just taking care of it. You're just a steward, right? So it's like, okay, I've used this piece. Now it's time for it to move on and make someone else happy, right? So with our new house, it's funny how it's a bigger space, but it's required less furniture. So I've done a lot of editing. So I really look at, it's almost like the book or the cliche of, like, you know, does this bring you joy? And I've really looked at each piece in that light, and you know, really edited a ton of things that was not working, or just to see how I was living in the space. And we have an amazing in-house designer, Oscar, and he came by and helped me as well. And he's like, you know, you don't have to have it perfect right now. He's like, live in the space and see how you use this space.
I love that advice.
I know. I thought that was such solid advice.
True.
And I thought, you know, I'm a perfectionist to a fault, and I think I've been here 2 months, so it should look like I've lived here for 2 years, and that's not the case. So I've started to let the house speak to me a little bit more without sounding like a total weirdo. But it's been great, and seeing how we use the space. And it's funny how when I rearranged the furniture, how the kids were migrating to that area, and how, you know, and also envisioning, like, what do you want to attract, or what do you want this room to be? And also with our clothes, like, how do we want to come across, you know, first impressions without it being materialistic. It is an impression, like, do you want to look put together, polished, approachable? There's so many different ways to look at that as well, right? It says so much about you.
Yeah, there's so many things to say in response to that. So I used to feel almost guilty that I was a material girl, that I was what, you know, back in the day, Madonna, material girl
Right.
living in a material world. And now I've come to feel that the pieces that I wear and the pieces that I have in my home are about artistically creating emotion. And we just had this conversation with Bella the other day because she's having a hard time as a freshman in high school and finding her group. And we said, you know, if you walk through a room with a smile on your face, people are going to receive you differently as if you'd been not looking them in the eye.
Right.
And I feel it's that way with clothes and with when Danette and I always dress up when we have a bad day. Like, we're going to wear something
Fake
happy.
it till you make it.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's when I'm not authentic, when I'm
Right.
faking it till I'm
Yes.
making it. So that is the
But
absolute
that is
truth.
that's authentic in the sense that is real life. You
because
know?
you're choosing what your brain thinks.
Right.
You're choosing
Right.
what your day is. And I think that clothes, accessories, your environment can create emotion.
Right. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, we're so, like restaurants use red because it stimulates hunger. I mean, there's so much
We're
thought.
doing a live podcast. That's all right. See, we are actually live here, folks. Someone walked in our set.
But anyways, I don't even know what I was saying. I lost my train of thought.
I know. It's all right. No, about the space and how it makes you feel.
I know what I wanted to touch on is I think the most intimate thing that you can have with any person is to be in their home. I think it's very revealing. Your home should reflect you, and a lot of it is things that are important, whether they're collected or have monetary value or have that meaning of value, of a memory. And I also think looking at people's books on their bookshelves is so revealing.
Yes.
So revealing. So I just think it's so fascinating to go into someone's home and just see a window of who they are, what's important to them, and how they want to live their life. Are they things more formal, more relaxed, more inviting? Is the kitchen a big premise in their home? There's just so many different ways to look at it. And I love that.
We recently moved things around in our house so that we could create more space for Bella in high school to have friends over.
Wow, a private space.
Yes, so we didn't want boys in her room, and we wanted to create more spaces in the house, or even that Rob and I could go to give her the downstairs,
Right.
because we feel like if kids are at our house, then we have. And in doing so, I got rid of so many things, and it does feel so cleansing.
So cleansing.
And I'm really about the light coming in and how much space you can feel, and it's changed. I created a room with Louis Vuitton trunks and with orange walls, and so I put all these things
fun.
that had meaning to me, and I think that I can be there and I can feel more creative. So I encourage people to think of those different ways that you could make an impact. And then this whole situation of you can sell what you're not using and
Right.
then buy other things and not have the guilt of feeling that you've added to the world's things to be discarded.
Right,
You're
right.
actually just using them and paying
Recycling
forward.
or upcycling.
Yes.
Absolutely.
So family is a big part of your life and connecting with other women.
Yes.
You have done an amazing job of helping people understand their brands. Are you still working with other brands and helping people? Let's talk a little bit about that, because I started the Vintage Contessa 10 years ago
Wow.
this month.
Wow, that's amazing.
And you started the Impeccable Fine. I was 40, over 40 when I did it. You're younger than me, but a lot of women don't feel like they want to have a creative outlet. Their kids are getting older. They don't want to just play tennis, or if you want to play tennis, no offense to that. But how do
I
you-
love playing tennis, but
Okay.
that's my other COVID silver lining is now I'm
Good.
playing tennis.
And I heard pickleball's coming
Yes,
the thing.
yes.
Okay, so how would they even go about doing it?
Well, so I think our biggest problem is our inner voice, the way we talk to ourselves. So I really encourage anybody that's on the fence and feel that they're maybe outgrown that cycle or that circle of growth is to Google successful women after the age of 40. You will be surprised. Like Oprah is one of them.
No way.
oh,
Oprah
yeah.
became Oprah after 40?
Yes.
Girl, that's good stuff. That's
like-
a quote for the stories, Danette.
God, and of course, I mean, I've read that thing so many times, and you think I'd remember all these amazing people, but they're all household names, and you would think that, like Vera Wang is another one over 40. Just all these amazing people that started at 40. Like, are you kidding me? I mean, it's...
So my catalyst was Lalique. I went to the Museum of Fine Arts,
Okay.
and I heard that he didn't become a glassmaker until he was 40.
Oh,
He
wow.
was first renowned as a jeweler, a bench jeweler. He made jewelry.
Oh,
and he
interesting.
made jewelry for a lot of the big names. And then he expanded. So I think
Wow, and
that
that's such a household name.
it is, and you think of him as glass, not jewelry.
No, not at all. I didn't know he did jewelry.
So, so you get an idea, you want to be a designer, or you want to find a creative outlet. Like, what is the process? Because you help women with this process.
Right, and I think the most impactful thing that I remember going to Mommy Series, and there was this amazing woman, and I can't believe I don't remember her name, but she's so dynamic. She was in finance. God, what was her name?
And Misty Pace Crawl is the one who
has the
initiated this incredible
Yes.
way to get women together.
Right.
And help mommies feel connected.
Exactly. No, it's so much fun. We've enjoyed it, and she is, I think, just had her 10 year as well.
Yes.
So this lady was talking, and it was right before my year anniversary, and I was like, I'm looking for something to do with myself after this 1 year, but I couldn't think of anything. And so she looked at the audience and she said, if 3 people have asked you to do the same thing, consider yourself good at it. And I was like, oh my God, that's so revealing. That's so revealing. And so I just went from that, and then just kind of, and then I also did, like, what is my ideal day? Like, what does my ideal day look like? What would I do for free? What makes me want to get out of bed every morning that I don't even look at the dollar amount? Because money will come and go, but if you don't have that passion, because, for example, antiques, I thought I'd be here once, twice a month. I'm here a week. But I love it. It's so much fun. Constantly looking for new things and hearing how people have integrated it in their home. So it's just feels good. It's just so
and
wonderful.
You put it out in the universe and it comes back to you, but
Yes.
you have to be open to it. So I agree with that. So the Vintage Contessa for me is, I married Rob. I was in the construction industry, and every time I went to Europe, I was buying pieces at a discount and
Right.
buying my big accessory. I allowed myself to buy 1 bag a year.
Right.
And then I grew to 1 bag a season. So, I mean, I didn't always have everything. And
Right.
people look at, I'm 53 years old. I'm like, you've got, there's time to
Right.
grow into this. When Rob married me, he said I had ugly jewelry. I'm like, thanks a lot, Rob. But, and then I married him. I'm going to all these shows with him. And when I'm there, I'm like going to vintage stores, and I'm shopping looking for a Pucci dress and buying it, or going, and then people said, well, will you buy for me?
Right.
Same thing.
Exactly.
And then I was doing it on the side because it wasn't enough for me to quit my day job. And I think a lot of people think you just open a business, you go get a space. Big mistake to have overhead. You hire people.
No.
Big mistake to hire people. Like, literally, it comes from you being willing to do every single thing in the process.
It's moonlighting, and we're such a generation of moonlighting with Instagram, and I've mentioned this many times, is that we all have the same real estate in Instagram. It's just what you do with it, and you've grown tremendously. But the thing is that opportunity has been gifted to us that was not there in a prior generation. I mean,
it was our outlier moment from
oh
Malcolm
my God.
Gladwell.
I know, completely. I love all of his books, but it's amazing what opportunity we have. All we have to do is be vulnerable and put ourselves out there.
And I tell Bella, sometimes you just have to show up every time.
Yes.
And be the last man standing. We talked about this the other day.
Consistent.
She was in track, and she was one of the worst kids in track. Bless your heart, you got mommy's sporting ability. But she kept going and showing up, and she ran the heat and won one time.
Wow.
only because the other kids weren't going, they got busy, they got distracted, and it was just such a life lesson for a young person to say, if you like it enough to do it, just do it well, and keep showing up.
Well, the funny enough that you're talking about sports, I always joke with my league is that tennis has so many life lessons, like stay in your lane, don't have too many balls in the air. Like, you know, it's just really funny how it's all like a metaphor of like, you know, there's protocol and love and all this stuff. It's just, of course, you know me, I like overthink everything, but I just thought it was so funny how there's a lot to be learned in sports. And I used to, very ignorantly, I thought sports was more mindless. But no, there's so much. And there's so forecasting. There's, you know, thinking ahead, thinking of your component, defensive, offensive. There's all these amazing things that you learn. And so for my kids, I mean, I'm so glad that they're not like me. They're like my husband. They really are athletic, you know. So it's such a gift.
So we went to the CU A&M game this weekend. We're a mixed family. Rob's a CU guy. I'm an Aggie. And we won in the fourth quarter barely. But I thought it was interesting. I started thinking, okay, I don't know these guys on the field, but because I went to school there in 1990, I'm rooting for them. But the power of community and the power of rooting, I mean, as Aggie fans, we're just a little crazy. I mean, we're it matters so much if you get the first down. And I was kind of dissecting that. And I found in writing my TED Talk, I found this term, it's called ikigai. And it's exactly your life. It's when you figure out what you love and you're passionate about and gets you out of bed in the morning. And you find a way to make money doing it. And you make the world a better place when you're doing it. You become you reach a state of flow, so you can do it continually without
the endurance is not even an issue, right?
No, because you're just doing it.
Right.
So for me, I realized that my gift, my burden, my positive, my negative is I love doing charity. But friends have given me napkins that say, next time someone, or quit volunteering or whatever. And even Rob and the family's like, Danae, you can't give so much. But I wanted to make the world a better place. So I was able to do that with this podcast. So you can't look at the monetary value of what you get back from everything, but the connections it's made for me. And then loving to socialize and loving other fashion girls, that's what changed our numbers during COVID. Is I said, how can I reach out to other fashion girls, do giveaways, reach out, make the community better, talk about some charity things in the process, what's meaningful to them in podcasts, and do it. And again, it evolved. So I just really encourage people that you're not going to see the benefit of all the steps.
Nothing is overnight.
For a long time. It's gonna, I mean, there were days when our accountant, Alma, she was like, how much more are you gonna spend on charity today? You can't keep working with these influencers. You don't need to keep going to all these events. But I loved it, and it mattered to me.
Well, and you might gain energy and momentum from it as well. You know, you like to connect with other people. But nothing in life is free. I mean, and so many people think, oh, well, that looks like that was so easy for you. Well, no, it's not. Nothing is easy. Nothing worthwhile is easy. But I think that also goes back to the joy. And for example, looking at a tennis player, like a real tennis player, is a professional tennis player. They make it look so easy because they're so good at it. It's so fluid. It's so natural. And they're so in their element. And so committed. Yes, I mean, think of all the hours, and they live and breathe tennis. Nothing is free, again. And that's what I tell my daughter about tennis. She's like, I want to be better. I'm like, well, you've got to put in the time.
Yes.
You know, we can give you the coaches. We can give you all of those ingredients, but it comes from you.
Malcolm Gladwell, 10,000 hours.
Yes.
And so that's the thing. You had 10,000 hours of I'm an overthinker
Shopping.
too. 10,000 hours of shopping. I know.
know.
People would be like, what's your sport? I'm like, I'm a scratch shopper.
Yes.
I mean, my dad was a scratch golfer, so my mom and grandmother and I, we were scratch shoppers.
Oh my God.
But we didn't have a lot of money, so a lot of times it was literally scouring for discounts. We went junk teeking. We could never go to the place like this curated. We could go look for inspiration, but we were literally scouring through places with dust all over it.
But I think budgets are it's inspiring. Otherwise, we wouldn't have that need to be so creative.
Yes.
Right? You know, I
If you could have everything.
No,
and like women that go by, and I am wearing all Hunter Bell today, but I just feel like if women go to Prada and just say, I'll take the whole new season, that there's not a lot of, like, I'm so much more intrigued by people who are mixing and creating and layering.
Yes, absolutely.
And doing all of that.
Well, because that's their story, and it just becomes them. And I mean, how many times have we looked at a dress and go, "Oh, that's so and so"?
Yes.
It's like it becomes your signature, it becomes your style. Yes. And I love that because it says so much about you. It could say that you're artsy. It could say you're traveled. It just kind of emulates your personality on so many levels, right?
So do you have a fashion icon these days? Is there a celebrity or is there a designer that you particularly admire?
I mean, I've loved Hunter Bell's things lately. I think if there was any dresses that I bought during COVID, I think I bought all Hunter Bell dresses. And again, I love that she's always pulling from the past, a lot of vintage inspiration, or at least that's the way it seems. I don't know. I think I am so old school, is that I really, all the people that I aspire to are probably not even alive. That sounds so like
I think that's okay.
You know,
like Audrey and
yes, and
Grace
like Grace Kelly and all of
yes.
them. I just think that they looked so timeless, and like they didn't try hard.
And my favorite artist is Slim Ariz. He was a photographer. I know you love him.
Yeah.
And he was in the 60s and 70s, and he was able to travel with socialites and be in their world and photograph it. And I'm always kind of looking to what they're wearing, and you could be in a Slim Ariz picture. I feel like this Hunter Bell could be in a Slim Ariz picture. Like I like to be modern, but I also like to give a nod to the past. And I think that that's where, I think now we can be more casual. I remember one of my questions from Joy Sewing was, what would you never wear? And I guess for me, as I say, I don't wear workout attire as day wear.
Yes.
And I feel like that's where you are too. I don't normally
Well, it's not very flattering on me anyways.
Yoga pants do not have a place.
No. It's the best way for me to stop eating, I tell you.
Okay, so back to school. Are you, tell me about kids. Like, do you have mommy advice? Are you... are there realms that you're in now that you're feeling that your friends are talking about?
So I always think about Martha Stewart and her daughter. Like, so Martha Stewart was this, we all know who Martha Stewart is. And I always remember reading that her daughter didn't want a wedding. So I just thought... Oh,
was that rebellion against her mother?
So
what?
And so so my sweet daughter and I adore her. And I can be very controlling, or let me say, I used to be. Again,
working hard. Yes.
No, this was before. So after my heart attack, I did learn that you control nothing but your own reaction. That's it.
And
period.
COVID's taught the rest of us that.
Yes. So that's all you can control.
Yep.
So I always wear dresses, and so I was always trying to put my daughter in dresses, and so she doesn't like that. And so what I had to realize is that she is her own person, and to let her pick what is right for her. And of course, I'm there to guide her and realign her if something is not in her best interest. But I've allowed her to be who she is. I think that's been a hard lesson for me because, my grandmother, I was raised by my grandmother, so she's a little bit more controlling and kept realigning me. So I've given
all these words.
I keep giving her a little bit more liberty than I was given. So we'll see how it works out. I might change my mind because she's only 12.
Well, yeah, the skirts are getting shorter and the cutouts are getting more prevalent.
Yes.
And I'm just, it's homecoming season coming up, and I'm like, that looks like something you'd wear to the club as a 21-year-old.
gosh.
Like it's
Lycra.
It's an interesting journey, but again, you're trying to respect their part of the journey
Yes.
and allow them to be authentically themselves. And
But with dignity and respect. So,
yes, because I feel like, there still are kids to raise, and it is such a hard balance, and I'm really working on that. Like when you let them do it, and for me, it comes down to health and safety. That's when I intervene, and otherwise, I have to let it happen.
Right.
So,
and I do feel that I do voice my opinion, but I always end it with, I know you know what the right thing is to do.
Yes, empower their choices.
Yes, so that gives them the freedom, but she heard what I had to say.
Yeah.
And she'll always make me proud. She'll always go with the right decision. And knock on wood.
Yes. Brene Brown, I have the parent manifesto on our refrigerator, and Bella's like, Brene Brown again.
Right.
And there's something about that. No matter what you do, I'll always love you. And you'll always have a place here. And even if I don't like your choice, I'll always be there for you.
This is your safe place.
Yes. So I think that's a big part of it. Cannot believe it's already been 45 minutes.
Wow, we could talk for hours.
We could. So tell us where we can find you, but let's start with an interesting place that's the whole topic of what we're talking about, fashion and interiors. You're in the window at Tootsie's?
Well, I don't know. I haven't been there yet, but I know that they borrowed some items, so thank you, Tootsie's. Can't wait to go see their windows. They always have such elaborate, beautiful, curated windows. They've done our windows here at MAI as well, so I'll be driving by there today. So
okay, good. We can catch it on your stories.
Yes,
you'll be posting it.
I will
at the Impeccable Fine.
So I have 2 Instagram accounts now. So I have the Impeccable Fine, which is still curated fashion, more of that, my original. Then I have Shop the Impeccable Fine, which is more of the antiques and showing my premise here on MAI. So it's been fun. So connect with me on both platforms, and that's it, right?
And we'll be showing on our stories. Go to Instagram, the Vintage Contessa. These we're going to take some of our bags and position them with these interesting pieces here, but it's I definitely am going to spend more money than we're going to make. So I know Rob doesn't listen to my podcast, so don't tell Rob.
And same with my husband, because I'm sure I'll be shopping here too. So.
Exactly. Well, guys, please continue living the authentic life. I know that I'm inspired to keep going and choosing joy, and we'll be connecting next week with you guys in the store at the Vintage Contessa.
Thank you so much for having me. Pleasure.